Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Kansas City.
If you're looking for signs that the Royals will surge in the second half of the schedule, look no further than last night. Pitching, power, clutch hitting, defense, and a lot of it. Game 2 in Minnesota is next on Fox Sports Kansas City. Royals baseball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. A win tonight, the Royals draw even with the Minnesota Twins this season, and they take this series at Target Field. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the ballpark with Rick Sutler. I'm Ryan Lefevre, and Joel Goldberg is coming up shortly. But if the season ended today, the Royals don't have an MVP candidate in the American League on offense. They don't have a guy right now that's carrying the offense, but they have remarkable balance.
It's great to see when you see it on paper. Now, it's also exciting to watch these guys getting timely hits like that. But on paper, we'll show you this. I was a little bit surprised to see the production, but there it is. All 8 players now, they're the highest mark in Major League Baseball in that category. Managers love it. So looking at that, multiple bus drivers in that lineup.
Alcides Escobar joined the club last night. 2 doubles, 4 RBIs.
Just love how he's going with the pitch. He hit one to the opposite field, and then he pulled one for 2. Getting production like that from Escobar, your shortstop, is something really special. Now, he's just 1 point lower than Ramirez in Chicago for best average for a shortstop. He's putting up the numbers. He's driving them in. He's stealing bases. He's playing his game. That's one of the reasons why the Royals are so good.
James Shields pitches tonight, and what that means is that the Royals will score some runs. They've given him 7 runs of support in his last 10 starts. Big game Joel, we'll talk about him when we come back.
Set to pitch at Target Field for the second time this year. Back in April, it was a loss. Gave up 7 runs. One of them was earned. The team has been scoring for him, and they've been winning for the most part, but it's been a bit of a rough stretch as far as numbers go for Shields over his last 7 starts, a 5.48 ERA. They've been scoring and bailing him out a little bit. He's been very competitive in getting out there and trying to grind through it. So what is the key tonight for big game James?
Just keep things simple. You know, he gets out and he tries to do too much. You know, he tries to make the good stuff that he has even better. And when he does that, his head flies out, his front shoulder flies out, his arm will drag and not get to the proper release point, and that leaves pitches up out over the plate. And I don't care who you are, if you leave pitches up out over the plate, they're going to get hit.
Shields will take the hill in a bit. Ricky Nolasco will throw the first pitch coming up. They spent $49 million on him in the offseason. It has been a struggle so far. Ryan and Hud have the call next.
To you by Chevrolet. Come in and visit the Kansas City area Chevy dealers and make your move to Chevrolet today. By the Missouri Lottery. Try the new Lucky Sevens playbook. And by AT&T, mobilizing your world. You're going to see some sweatshirts, some windbreakers, some long sleeves. It feels a lot more like September the 1st than July the 1st. Here tonight as we take a look at the Royals batting order presented by your Midwest Ford dealers. And there's Raul Ibanez making his first start since his return to the Royals.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see what Raul can do with his bat. He's in right field. We'll see how he can handle the outfield out there. And if action goes, I mean, he's not the rangiest of defenders, but hopefully he'll get the big hit.
And there is the potential of many big hits with the Royals facing Ricky Nolasco. And when you talk about him this year, Hud, there are a lot of most in the American League, as in most hits allowed in the American League, most extra base hits allowed in the major leagues, highest ERA, highest opponent's batting average among qualifiers in the American League.
And I'm sure that the Royals offensive players, they know that, but you can't underestimate an opponent. They know good. Look for your pitch, stay in the same mood that you had mentally. You're going to stay up the middle with the ball, look for the mistakes, put them in play like they have been doing. Now he's not overpowering with any pitches. He's going to go 88 to 91. And he might try to pitch to contact here, as Escobar's highlighted. third start at second base this season. Sam Fold back in center field.
So Brian Dozier hits the night off, and he had a tough night last night. The Twins' regular second baseman, he was 0 for 4. He committed a couple of errors and is 0 for his last 13. So Ron Gardenhire puts Escobar in there tonight.
And no Willingham. That's good too. He's got some pop on the right side.
Jeff Kellogg is the crew chief. He'll be at first base. 23 years as a big league umpire. A minor league call-up umpire, Pat Hoberg, is behind the plate, with Brian Honora at second base and Corey Blazer at third. Lorenzo Cain, and if you wonder why people in the baseball industry talk so much about staying even with your emotions over the course of the baseball season, we'll just look at Lorenzo's last 2 games. On Sunday, 4 hits, 3 doubles. Last night, 0 for 5, 4 strikeouts.
It's amazing how the peaks and valleys show up so often and regular in this game. He'll be looking at Nolasco. 4-seam, 2-seam, sinking fastball. Curveball, split finger. He's got a couple of different angles to his curveball, a couple of different tilted angles. Not overpowering. The 4th of June is the last time he went past 6 innings. So he's been having trouble getting past the 6th. You want to get to him early. Don't let him gain any confidence. He is 2-2 with a 3.57 here at home. He pitches a lot better here.
1-2. That pitch right there. That's how Pino was pitching Lorenzo Cain last night. Sliders down and away.
And they'll keep doing it until you adjust to it. Either stop swinging at it or hit it a few times, and they'll have to go somewhere else.
And there it is. So 5 strikeouts for Cain in the first 2 games of the series. And a good start for Nolasco. Royals have won 21 of the last 30 against Minnesota. So there are several players who have chipped in, allowing that to happen. And let's go back to June 28th of last year, our AT&T U-Burst Rewind, and a 2 home run game here for Eric Hosmer. And right on cue, he gets a base hit to right field. So he is singles in the first inning in the first 2 games of the series.
He started taking off about this time last year. It's been interesting how a lot of the numbers have been similar to last season's numbers. But they really can't wait to get him on track. Looking for some early strikes there. He's been aggressive. Good balanced swing.
Ball 1-2 Billy Butler. Well, here's a situation that burned the Royals last night. It didn't hurt the Royals as they won 6-1, but Hosmer at first, 1 out, double play candidate at the plate. Hosmer did not run. Butler grounded into a double play. 1-1. Hosmer has stolen just 2 bases, but he has as many as 16 since becoming a big leaguer, and 2 other seasons where he has stolen 11.
They're going to be throwing breaking balls to the outer half to Billy. Grounded into 2 double plays last night, like you mentioned. Hosmer, he's really good at getting a short lead initially, and then he creeps. He's a creeper. He's the kind of guy who kind of creeps along and tries to get a walk and jump. I'd be surprised to not see him go. Nolasco is right around the plate. Billy should be able to make some contact somewhere.
Great pitch over the outside. 2-2. Billy, like many Royals, has had some big games here at Target Field, but he is hitless in Minnesota so far this year. Full count. On the topic of the running game, while the Royals offense spiked in June, the running game really wasn't a part of that. Royals are no longer leading the league in stolen bases. And in June, they had 19 games without a stolen base. 19 out of 27 games in June, no stolen bases. And now Hosmer runs, and Billy fouls it back.
That's conservative, but a lot of the guys have green lights as far as I know. They get picks, they get pitches they can jump, get good jumps on it, they take off. Hosmer there, it's a good time to run. Billy's going to be swinging. Houston's got some base stealers. Altuve might be heading to the All-Star game. Second baseman, solid.
Hosmer takes off again, and it's hit into right center field. It's slicing away from Fold, but it hangs up for him. He had to run all the way to the track to get it. And Hosmer's back to first, 2 down.
Fans, just a reminder as you enjoy a cold one to look forward to Miller Time later in today's game. Brought to you by Miller Lite.
Alex last night 1 for 4 with a double and a run scored. Got it in on him, 0-1. And speaking of Royals who have had big games against the Twins, Alex has had a big career against the Twins. He has more home runs and RBIs against Minnesota than he does against any other team. 14 home runs, 50 driven in, and hitting just under 300. One and one.
Talking with pitching coach of the Twins, Rick Anderson, yesterday about Nolasco. He said he's had him out in the bullpen working on his fastball. That's about it. He's got the secondary pitches. Curveball's been getting hit around, but he's working on locating that pitch. There's the curve there, got him off balance.
Parmalee makes the play, and that's the inning. Nolasco gets around a 1-out single. James Shields to the mound. No score to the bottom of the first. Making his 18th start of the year. He's our Kia starting pitcher. He hasn't been his normal self over his last 10 starts. However, he has gotten the best run support in the American League over his last 10 starts, over 7 runs per game.
Yeah, and that's great. Remember last year, that spell he went through for the first 2 or 3 months of the season, they weren't giving him 2 runs per game. So this year it's changed, and it's at the right time, because his last 3 starts he's been hit up at .317 and a 5.40 ERA. So these hitters will be looking for the ball up, no doubt. James Shields, he possesses a solid changeup, good sinking fastball, big breaking ball at times, and he'll go with a slider. Again, no Dozier, no Willingham.
Shields in with a strike to Eduardo Nunez. Back from the disabled list last night. He was out with a hamstring injury and had 2 hits and drove in Minnesota's only run. It looked like he offered at that bunt attempt, but no attempt. On appeal to first base umpire Jeff Kellogg. 1-1.
Looked like he went. Looked like he offered at it. Important that James works the lower quadrant of the strike zone. Whenever you read numbers at .317 average, 5.4 ERA over the last 3 starts, he's been elevating. Dave, I'd like to see him stay behind the ball and get a little bit of change of speeds going between his sinker, his cutter, and his changeup. Got to have a little bit of speed difference there to keep him off balance.
Hit hard and into left center field. Nunez takes an aggressive turn, loses his helmet along the way, but no chance to advance, so he has a leadoff single.
Royals defense, Raul Ibanez. He gets the call in right field. I thought he might be the DH tonight, but Ned put him in right. He's got a lot of experience out there to go along with Lorenzo Cain and Alex Gordon. Alex has 6 outfield assists, so does Cain. Raul Ibanez, 90 career assists in right field over his career. Strong arm. You know, but he'll, at 40 years old, to do the best job he can on balls to his left and right.
Among other things, the Royals had an excellent night on defense last night. They did not have a good day on defense the last time Shields pitched here. Look at that, 7 runs, 1 earned run, 2 critical errors, one of them committed by Shields, and Minnesota had a 6 unearned run second inning.
Gave up a couple of homers. He's given up 15, James has this year, 9 to righties, 6 to lefties.
Joe Mauer 1 for 4 with a walk last night, extending his hitting streak to 11 games, getting his average to .270.
Hit well against James in his career. .350 hitter with 1 homer, 8 ribbies.
You know, it's interesting on that topic, Hud. Mentioned Dozier and Willingham are out, and they just might need a break. Ron Gardenhire knows his players better than anybody. But I wondered, was this just a good night with Shields on the mound to get those 2 out of the lineup? Well, Dozier is a .350 hitter against Shields. Willingham a .320 hitter against Shields. So not just 2 good hitters out of the lineup, but 2 good hitters who have done well against Shields out of the lineup. Threw a fastball right by him, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Or down he goes. So Shields has his first strikeout, and for Mauer, that is his 63rd strikeout of the year already.
Not like him at all. Click behind it. James challenged him.
Joe Mauer with a very good chance of just shattering his previous career high for strikeouts in a season. So 1 on 1 out, and now Chris Parmelee, another Minnesota hitter on a roll. He has a 10-game hitting streak. And it hasn't been just a hit here and a hit there to extend it. 459, but he has only driven in 1 run.
Yeah, he is 0 for 20 with runners in scoring position. Now there is one in scoring position, but that just tells you he's getting his hits with nobody out there. Nothing wrong with that. I'm sure you'd like to improve on that mark. He hasn't grounded into a double play either all year.
Good changeup down and away, and it's 0-2. Parmalee was the Twins' first-round pick in 06, but they took him off the roster this past offseason. So not only did he have to work his way back to the big leagues, he had to work his way back onto the roster. Timeout called right before he delivered the pitch. So a former big prospect who is put through waivers during the offseason and nobody claimed him and was outrighted to the minor leagues. Still 0-2.
Ball was elevated just enough. He had a good rip. He wasn't looking to doink one in there. He's trying to pull him out of the yard. Change-ups, the pitch that James really wants to be able to command. Keep that down and away. Lefties. It's a good pitch against those guys. Moves away from him.
A little bit of a break there for the Royals. Nunez started to run and didn't like his jump, so he stopped. And then the pitch was in the dirt. So in the end, that would have been a good pitch to run on. But he's still at first base. Sal was looking over to Hosmer at first base and blocks that pitch in the dirt. 2 balls, 2 strikes. He was telling Shields to wait. He was opening his right hand as he was looking down at first. I wonder if he was trying to make eye contact with Hosmer for a pickoff.
No telling. Salvi checking out Nunez at first. Catchers, good throwing catchers are always peeking at the runner, trying to get a tendency, see what they look like.
That's in the left center field, and that will roll deep. Nunez comes flying around third base to score. So Parmalee didn't have a runner in scoring position, but he gets Nunez in from first, and Minnesota has the lead.
Great swing, stayed under control. Didn't try to pull him this time, and you can't pull that ball. That's a well located pitch. Went down, stayed short to it. And this is what kind of action you get from a guy who's got a nice hitting streak going. He's hot. Nunez had no trouble scoring.
A lot of pitches in the dirt from Shields to the Twins in the first inning.
See Parmalee looking around, making a mental note of where the outfielders are, so he can react on contact.
At the knees, 1-1 on Morales. 0 for 5 last night, but he hit the daylights Out of a pitch that was caught by Moustakas on a line drive to third. Maybe the hardest hit ball of the night.
Really be careful not make a mistake to him. He's just 1 for 12 in his career off of Shields, but anything out of that middle. It's a sky high ball there. Call it.
Tough play. Moustakas going on the mound. That's a tough play, Hud. You can speak to that. Running up the slope of the mound while trying to track a pop-up. And Morales is the second out.
It's all about focus, and you got to have feel with your feet and where you are. And I've seen guys trip because they're not used to the angle going uphill. They trip and fall. That could have been an infield hit, but Moose made it look easy. That's not an easy play to go up that mound like that when you're not looking at it.
And he was starting to go back down the mound.
Made that look easy. That wasn't.
Trevor Plouffe takes a fastball for a strike.
Plouffe's 2 for 10 in his career off of James. .267 hitter with a runner in scoring position.
On the ground to Escobar. Plouffe is out. Minnesota's done in the first. They get a leadoff single from Nunez. Armley stretches his hitting streak to 11 games to get him home. 1-0 Minnesota. Your Kansas City Honda dealers bring you the MTP of the game, the most trusted player, brought to you by the most trusted brand, Honda.
Salvi bounced it right over. Willingham, great attempt.
He is now a .371 hitter at Target Field. And when he makes out, he hits it right on the nose and drives Armley to the warning track. One of the best ever in this ballpark, which opened in 2010. .371, 6 home runs, on base plus slugging over 1,000. Only Juan Pierre by 1 percentage point has a higher batting average among opponents at Target Field.
He gets under that. That's a 11th home run. He would have got that.
Raul Ibanez did not play last night in his first game since rejoining the Royals. His first game here since, or first game with the Royals since the end of 2003.
He's 5 for 19 in his career off of Nolasco.
One and two.
He's got nice pull power. You can jump him out of the yard if you make a mistake on him. Makes him dangerous.
And a base hit into right center field. Good job of making contact down in the count. That's the Royals' second hit.
There you go, Raul. It's a way to check in. Ball's down away from him. You could see the way the defense was playing him. Just want to put the ball in play with 2 strikes. A nice 2-strike approach. Another veteran hitter with postseason experience. A leader.
Infante rolls it to the right side, and that's through. And Ibanez is going to challenge Arcia, and he is out. Infante goes to second base. That was a heck of a pick by Plouffe at third base. 2 down.
Little surprised to see Ibanez make that attempt, but it took a perfect throw to get him. He got a good jump. The ball wasn't hit hard at all. The ball had eyes on it. Perfect touch by Infante. And Ibanez made up his own mind. He saw the ball. The play was in front of him. And you're right. Great pick by Plouffe. Got him. Like to see the aggressiveness of the veteran Ibanez.
Who knows? That may cost the Royals a run, but how about the message that is sent on that play right there? 42 years old, and he's trying to go first to third. He was out, but trying to go first to third on a ball that most 32-year-olds would be happy with just taking second base.
You're exactly right. That's why I like to see that. You know, and it's a good time if you're going to do that. Wasn't the first or the third out. Made an attempt to try to do what Infante wanted to do, go first to third. Took a perfect throw. The throw's off. It works. It's just a matter of time before the Royals offense get to Nolasco. I have a feeling that they're saying the same thing in that dugout that they said about Pinto in last night's game. Fellas, we're going to get him. Just a matter of time.
Two and two on Moustakas. 2-hit game last night for Moustakas, also on with a walk and scored 2 runs.
Nolasco likes that split finger against lefties. See if Moose can get his 6th hit all year to left field.
Look out.
That ball was coming in hot.
And it appears that everybody is all right. That ball took a wicked ricochet, and let's hope that that was a seat or a railing. Again in the same area, and a great attempt by the ball boy. He didn't catch it cleanly, but he protected the fans in the first 2 rows.
Talked about Moose. Last night he went to left field twice. There's his hits by directions. He keeps filling that spot up out there, and that's going to get his average up. And it's going to help him see that home run pitch better. Let the ball travel.
pulled foul again. Well, we heard when he was in Venezuela during the offseason with Pedro Grifol, and we saw in spring training more base hits to left field, left center, center field. But I think in Venezuela, and I know in spring training, he never saw the defensive shift that was on him right away opening day this year in Detroit.
I think that has something to do with it. He's got up there, wants to yank everything.
Just nicked it foul. Don't forget to tweet your photo using hashtag KCFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown during tonight's game broadcast. Brought to you by AT&T.
Lefties have hit 7 home runs, righties 8 against Velasco. They're talking about it now. Moose is in swing mode, obviously. Didn't know Suzuki and Velasco were that tight, but looks like it.
It was special.
I think more than anything, they just don't want anybody to read any lips out there.
He has fouled off 5 straight and is still 2-2.
That swing had left center field written on that one, so he was able to wait.
And stroke to right field, went down and got a low pitch. So a 10-pitch at bat, and Moustakas drives in Infante, and the Royals tie the game at 1.
Great at bat. You could tell Velasco, instead of wasting any pitches there, he decided, you know, I'm going to try to finesse him, and that's what he is. He's a finesse pitcher. But Moose, in swing mode, picked it off the ground. Suzuki was going to catch it on the ground. That's great, and he got it up over the defense. He's able to lift that low pitch. He stuck that ball. Your top hand rolls, you hit a ground ball to the first baseman. Kept his hands through it.
And Escobar just got underneath it. Parmalee in foul ground, and it's the shortstop Nunez with a long run out to make the play. As they have done so often, the Royals get the run right back after Minnesota gets question of the night. Who holds the Royals record for most home runs by a catcher prior to the All-Star break?
How about Darryl Porter?
How about him? I have no idea what the answer is to
I don't
this.
either. All right, fans, we're counting on you. You can Google it at home, but Ryan won't let me up here.
Right to Infante. Marcia is out. 2 pitches, 1 down for Shields in the second. So a new month begins for James Shields. A new month begins for the Royals. And the Royals were one of the best in the American League in June, 17-10. They had that same record in 1988. Third best record. Third most runs per game, almost 5 per game. Second best ERA. They did not blow a single save. And they outscored their opponents by 36 runs in June. So another disappointing May for the second year in a row. Not as devastating as last year, but another bounce back June. 7 games above 500. Nice hop for Moustakas, and Suzuki is out. So 4 pitches and 2 down for Shields in the second inning.
Let's take a look at a head-to-toe shot of James Shields. Dave Island says stay behind the ball, but what James has been doing is his shoulder has been flying open, and he's therefore his arms dragging and leaving the ball up in the zone, and it's hittable. You see how he snaps his head? He always snaps his head towards that dugout, and sometimes that his arm drags behind. And he'll leave it up in the zone.
Center field, a quick inning for James Shields. 3 up, 3 down. The Royals are coming right back up against Nolasco in a 1-1 tie to the 3rd inning. Join us for Buck Night and Summer Fireworks on Friday, July 11th, when the Tigers are at Kauffman Stadium. Select items are just $1 at the concession stand, so stock up on hot dogs, peanuts, and small Pepsi products. And then after the game, the great fireworks show courtesy of Hy-Vee and Pepsi. Friday, July 11th. Royals.com or 1-800-6-ROYALS for tickets. Out to Plouffe at third base. Lorenzo Cain is down. He's 0 for 2.
It's exactly what Nolasco wants to do. Keep the ball down and use his defense. Like Pinto, last night's starter, doesn't have an overpowering pitch, so he can't just rely on blowing it by guys. He's going to have to pitch to contact.
Almost got Hosmer on the knee. Ball 1. Eric single to right in the first inning. That actually is a significant improvement from last year. They were 5.26 starters ERA last season, which was 45 points worse than the next closest team. So 4.88, believe it or not, is an improvement. In their last 8 games, the starters ERA is just under 8. So they went out and they signed Phil Hughes, who's had a good bounce back year in his first season with the Twins, but Nolasco has struggled. This is Nolasco's first year of a 4-year deal. 2-2 to Hosmer.
Hos got him a pitch there. He tried to muscle it. Just let those hands go to work, big fella.
Full count.
Oz has a different look. He's got the one arm sleeve and nothing on the other side.
And that's up the middle. A base hit. Hosmer's 2 for 2. That's his second 1-out single of the night.
Got the top half of the ball. Directed it towards the middle. Second baseman Escobar playing him to pull. I'll show you the little phantom cam shot. See that top? It just got the top of it. See how that ball came off there with top spin? 2 hops. Second one usually gets by. It's well placed.
Billy flied out to deep right center field in the first inning. A ball caught by the center fielder Fold.
Hosmer was moving on the pitch.
Two 2-0.
This is the kind of guy that Billy can pull for a homer if he can just wait for his pitch. It's not overpowering, so Billy has plenty of chance to get around on the ball, but it's got to be his, not those. That's what Nolasco wants him to do. Hit into a little ground ball double play. This early in the game, he needs to take 3-0 here. He did. That's okay. That worked.
Back-to-back singles with 1 out, and that's Billy's first hit at Target Field this year. So Alex comes up with 2 on, 1 out. And remember, you can cheer on Alex in his special fan section at Kauffman Stadium. Gordo Nation. You'll get a new limited edition Gordo Nation t-shirt and a seat near Alex in left field, all for just $35. And your next chance is July 10th. That's the First game of 4 with the Tigers. Royals.com/GordoNation. Alex flied to left in the first.
Alex due for a hit with a runner in scoring position. He's 0 for his last 9. The way he's waiting out in Velasco, and same way with Billy Butler, he could pick up 3 with 1 swing here.
Very similar to the first inning. Fly ball to left field. Parmalee makes the play. 2 down. Salvador Perez with 2 down, and we look at tonight's Toyota League leaders. Talked about how Sal is one of the best ever among opposing players at Target Field. 2nd highest batting average, but he has the highest slugging percentage. Homered in last night's game, his 10th of the year, and he lined out to left on a missile in the 2nd inning tonight.
Second baseman Eduardo Escobar is right on top of Hosmer, like Haas is going to be stealing third base, so he's giving up some ground at second. Just a couple of lanes to hit the ball through here. I think Salvi has other things in mind. He wants to drive one.
1-1. Velasco has allowed 15 home runs this year.
That slider was a hanging slider.
Ripped, foul. 1-2. Coming into tonight, the Royals are tied with the Tigers, hitting with runners in scoring position. That's the stat more than any other the Royals turned around in June. That was the biggest struggle for the Royals in the first 2 months. Two and two.
That goes along with pitching and defense. The other area is timely hits. Consistency in all 3 areas. You can see another 10-game winning streak. Maybe not 10, but that's what you get when you got all 3 at the same time.
Do you think a hitter would take a 325 average?
Oh, absolutely.
You think a team would take a 325 average?
Oh, in a heartbeat.
How about a team hitting 325 with runners in scoring position for a month? That's what the Royals did in June.
Right. That's off the charts. Just seems like they feed off of one another, right? One guy gets a hit, you know, they don't have to be homers, and you know, everybody talked about how there's no power in the Kansas City lineup, and you know, they'll never win if they don't hit homers. Well, they got guys that hit doubles and they get clutch hits, and when runners in scoring position, you score runs in different ways in this game. We've seen some power this last month. Guys are starting to put some over the wall. And Lasco better be careful, or Salvi will here.
Escobar charges and throws him out. So this time the Royals strand 2. They already had 6 hits against Velasco in 3 innings. Shields back to the mound in a 1-1 tie.
Minnesota. Our Mazda Game Break takes a look back at a couple of occurrences that have not gone James Shields' way recently. A balk ruled here against the White Sox, and Adam Eaton comes in to score. Ned Yost got ejected. That was in the first inning of a game, maybe trying to save Shields there during his frustration. And then this one in his last start against the Dodgers, throws over to try to pick off D. Gordon, and a balk ruled there too. Shields has been adamant that he is not balking. This is a little bit of a newer development in baseball, because after the fake to third, throw to first move was outlawed, Shields has kind of been one of the first to try pickoff moves over at third base. So the question becomes, guys, is it just a move that maybe umpires aren't familiar with, or is he indeed balking? I've had a chance to talk with multiple umpires and supervisors over the last week, and every single one of them on the first one adamantly said that it looked like a balk to them. The second one, maybe a little bit more subtle, but they all felt like there was first a move towards home plate and that it was a balk. And I think the interesting...
God forbid left-handers never do that.
Right, well, then that's the thing. And you know, one of the umpires mentioned to me that, you know, pitchers, or any player for that matter, they're going to try to bend the rules a little bit. And we've seen guys like Burley and Pettit with great moves try to push that issue a little bit further. And the umpire said it is our job to try to keep them within the rules and not let them bend those rules. And they all said that, you know, while they haven't seen a lot of moves to third, maybe it looks a little different. Some of them said it might look different just because they feel like it was a balk. But one of the supervisors made an interesting point to me. He said, maybe he doesn't need to be so perfect. You're kind of walking a fine line in that move to third base, because if you do balk, the run's scoring. And so maybe just the element of surprise and not as good of a move might work. At first, what's the penalty? If you balk over there and you push it a little too far, the guy's going to second. He's not scoring.
Here's Eduardo Nunez with one out. He takes ball one. And I wondered too, Joel, because we brought this up both times Shields was called for the balk. As you pointed out, the element of surprise, they're just not used to seeing that. And I wonder too, do the umpires at third base give themselves the same angle as they do when they're at first base with a left-hand pitcher? Do they give themselves the right angle so they can judge a balk or not? Or just because of their normal assignments, are they out of position for that?
Yeah, and you and I were talking about that earlier, so I did check with the umpires. There's so much that goes into their positioning that we never really think about. I mean, we talk about cutoffs and roles for players, but the supervisor pointed out to me that they're going to be at first and third base when there's a runner on at those bases. They're always going to be behind the defensive player, so behind the first baseman, behind the third baseman, and you'll see that right now as we are, but never closer than 10 to 12 feet from the bag. So they want to be as close as they can to the bag, up to 10 to 12 feet, but behind the defensive player. You might even see them moving back, and so you'll see there he is behind the defensive player. He probably looks like about 10 to 12 feet from the bag, and they said it should be the same exact perspective, first to third.
Now we should point out on that play there, different from the Dodgers play. There's ball four, and Nunez is on with one out. That play in Chicago, that balk was called by the home plate umpire. At Kauffman Stadium against the Dodgers, the balk was called by the third base umpire. So that umpire in Chicago didn't see a balk, but somehow the home plate umpire did.
The whole deal is they're not used to seeing it.
Right.
So when it happens, they're like, oh, I don't know if that's a balk.
If it doesn't look right, it must be a balk.
Right.
Right.
Well, and again, you know, talking to a lot of these guys about it, they were kind of mixed on that. There were some Rex that agreed with you on that. Yeah, we haven't seen it a whole lot. There were others that said it doesn't look right because he's going home and it's a balk, and that's why it doesn't look right to us or not. There's obviously an element of surprise. We haven't seen this very much. But I think, and I know that the Royals were trying to talk to the league about this, that if you're James Shields now, you got to be careful about not doing that until you really know exactly what it is that you're doing wrong. He believes that he's not balking. That's fine. The umpires do. And so at this point, if he's going to try it, he's either got to adjust some things or not do it.
It just goes back to using it when you don't need it. If I'm not mistaken, both of those balks came early in games. And when you have a surprise move like that, You want to do it when it's a meaningful run at third base and you try to catch the guy off guard. Don't just do it just because you have a new toy and you want to try it.
To Joel's point, though, I mean, in knowing Shields' personality, he's not going to give up on it. You know, he's going to try and pick a guy off at third base. But to his point, game on the line, 1-run game, tie game. You balk with the runner at first. And by the way, you don't have a moving target. Your first baseman is standing right there. You balk, he goes to second. Runner at third, you balk. That runner scores. Not to mention you have to try and hit a third baseman who's on the move and going to third base. So it's more difficult, more complicated for many different reasons. 1-2 on Mauer.
I still like what one of the gentlemen I talked to said, is that he may not need to be as perfect or as close to that line as he was as far as deception goes, and that maybe it's just as simple as a move over there, the element of surprise, he'll get the guy anyway. And so not needing to toe that line or cross it. I mean, we've seen guys like Burley, Pettit, and some of the really good ones push the limits as far as they could over the years. And I think what the umpire supervisor was telling me in this case is maybe he doesn't need to be that good. Is that another Joe Mauer strikeout?
It is. And he is starting to hear some boos here. That is 64 strikeouts for Joe Mauer. His career high is 89.
Same place he got him last time up. Fastball up and in. Blew it by him. This is the guy he's got to figure out. Parmalee, opposite field double, knocked in the only run.
Moustakas goes out. Alex comes in, and Alex bobbles, and it drops. Nunez thought about rounding third, but he'll hold. Parmalee ends up at second base. We'll wait to see how they score it. Second and third with 2 down. It's an error on Alex.
Yeah, typically Alex is calling Moose off or Escobar. And Moose, the way he was going after that ball, probably didn't hear Gordon until the last second. It's bound to happen. Alex just couldn't keep it in his glove. See, infielders don't call it. They go for the ball. They listen for the outfielders to call it.
So Morales comes up with 2 in scoring position and takes down and away ball 1. Question is, how early did Alex call for that ball? Did Moustakas have enough time to hear him and peel off?
Well, it was awkward for Moose because he was going for the ball. He was backwards. He was off balance. So he probably heard him before he could actually react to it and get out of the way. When he got to the play, Moose looked at Alex and said, "My bad." You know, those plays happen in baseball.
Our director, Steve Kurtenbach, just gave us a look of the positioning at third base. And we were just talking about with Joel where the third base umpire is if James Shields wants to try and pick off a runner again at third base.
No, they're keeping an eye on Moose. Moose is way over there. They're not worried. Nunez is not worried about it. Just watch the third baseman. That's all you want to do. When a guy's got to move and they know it. I can already see Vavra, the third base coach, telling Nunez, "Hey, you know what? He does pick over here, but just keep an eye on. I'll keep an eye on Moose for you."
Morales popped out to third in the first inning. And now 3-1. So the 2 runners on reached on a walk and an error. Escobar backhands, jumps, throws. Hosmer had to come off the bag. He did not apply the tag. And so the walk, the error, and an infield single leads to a run, and Minnesota leads 2-1.
A little surprised that Escobar couldn't make that play, even though it was a tough one. You got the right guy running. Morales doesn't run very well at all. Escobar very accurate with his throws most of the time, but that ball just leaked up the line. Hosmer tried to catch it and put a phantom tag, but there was no chance. The ball, you see how it drifted towards home plate. Only chance Hosmer had was to catch that ball closer to the line and then tag him, but it might have short hopped him. 2 runs would have scored. So Eric did the right thing. Just keep the ball in front of you.
Parmalee at third now. Morales at first. Trevor Plouffe is 0 for 1. That is the 12th unearned run allowed by Shields this year, and his 7th here in Minnesota. 1-1. So Shields has given up 12 unearned runs. No other Royals pitcher has allowed more than 2 unearned runs. 1-2. Got him to chase a fastball up. 3 strikeouts for Shields. Twins take a leadoff walk, and they use an error to take the lead 2-1. Target Field in downtown Minneapolis, and there will be a huge crowd 2 weeks from tonight as the All-Star Game is here. Special coverage begins at 4:30 on Fox Sports 1, followed by the game at 7:30 on Fox. Don't forget, voting ends on Thursday night. Raul Ibanez singled to right center in the second inning, followed by Omar Infante and Mike Moustakas. All 3 of those hitters had singles in that inning. Raul was having a bad time with the Angels. He was hitting 157 with 3 home runs, but last year he had 29 home runs for the Seattle Mariners. That tied the major league record for a hitter age 41 or older. He tied Ted Williams.
Wow.
Who also had a 29 home run season back in 1960.
Impressive.
Got jammed, and that'll be easy for Plouffe. 1 down in the 4th. So I've been talking about the American League starters, hoping that the Royals, if not become starters, will be voted on the roster. How about the National League? Any surprises?
Nope. Love to see the volume of votes, though. It means the people are into it. Maybe Utley. I'd be a little surprised.
How about Aramis Ramirez? Could be an all-star starter. One and one on Infante. Aramis Ramirez team, the Brewers, tied for the most wins in the major leagues. Brewers and the A's both have 51 wins. Nunez throws out Infante. 2 up, 2 down for the Royals in the 4th.
Moose had a great at-bat last at-bat. He fouled off several pitches until he found one. And one of the reasons he was able to stick this ball is because his hands didn't roll over on contact. We'll show you the super slow motion. Hitting through the ball is what you call this. His hands are through the ball. You see the vibration, it hit off the end, but then they roll. They roll after contact. If you roll on contact, you hit a ground ball to the first baseman. So he stayed through it nicely.
Season high 188. Plouffe in foul ground and gets Moustakas. Quick inning for Nolasco. 9 pitches. 3.5 played. Minnesota leads 2-1. Brought to you by Panera, coming soon to College and King in Overland Park. And by your Midwest Ford dealer. Visit your MidwestFordDealers.com. Target Field, downtown Minneapolis. They tried for years and years and years to return to outdoor baseball. And this is year number 5. I can't believe it. Opened in 2010. 0-1 on Arcia. Shields got him on a ground ball to second in the second inning.
So far, this game's turned into a pitcher's duel. The opposite, I thought, would happen. I was thinking it was going to be high scoring from the very beginning. James is pitching more down in the strike zone tonight. He's only given up 3 hits.
Two and one. Arcia had a nice year last year for the Twins, his first year in the big leagues. He hit 14 home runs. Pulls it to Hosmer, who fell down, but still able to make the play, and then very close at first. Shields didn't get to the bag right away, and Arcia is out.
Hosmer. Ooh, little pirouette. Reverse turn. Had time, got him. It worked.
Twins catcher Kurt Suzuki, he grounded out to third in the second inning. He took a line drive, well, foul ball, off of his right forearm very early in the game last night. I'm surprised to see him finish the game, and he's back in there tonight. I mean, it was not a glancing blow at all. A foul tip right off what appeared to be his right forearm, right off the bone.
He's tough.
One and one. Here it is. Oh, man. Just inside, 2-1.
It's a good spot. Didn't get the call.
All Kurt Suzuki had to do this year was be the first full-time Twins catcher after Minnesota moved Joe Mauer to first base full-time. Mauer taking too many foul balls off the mask. Concussions were keeping him out of the lineup. And the Twins said, okay, that's enough. We want the bat. We don't want the concussions. You're moving to first base. 3-2.
Suzuki's done well. I mean, tonight just 299, just a click under 300. A couple of homers, 32 ribbies. And they're talking about him being an all-star catcher. I don't think he has the power numbers that Salvi had. In fact, I know he doesn't, but anyway, he's having a solid year. They're happy with him.
Shields gave up a run in the first on Parmalee's double, and then an unearned run in the third. Minnesota got that run on an infield single from Morales. Just foul, still 3-2. And that'll be out of play. A lot going on during that final homestand before the All-Star break, including Viva Los Royals, July 12th. Join us in the outfield experience for a special performance from Willie Vela, as well as a salsa contest featuring local Mexican restaurants. And the first 10,000 fans through the gates receive a Salvador Perez bobblehead presented by Hy-Vee and Farmland. Escobar to the middle, won't catch up to it. So that's a good at bat for Suzuki. 4 foul balls and a single to center field with 1 out.
He just guided it up the middle. Went with it.
And now Eduardo Escobar. Flight out to center field in the 2nd inning. Low for ball 1. Escobar has struggled lately, but he got off to a fast start. A player who has always been known for his glove, but never been much of a threat on offense. He has 23 doubles.
Starting to figure it out. And the only way that happens is if you get out there and you produce, you start hitting. Then all of a sudden you have a swagger. You develop some confidence and you're going, hey, you know what? I'm a hitter. Then you just thrive off of that. Key is when you start going bad, you still tell yourself, I am a good hitter.
And given the opportunity, oftentimes a very athletic, very coordinated player like Escobar, who has great hands, great hand-eye coordination on defense, that will translate to the plate. The most extreme examples of that would be one guy in the Hall of Fame, one guy who's going to the Hall of Fame, Ozzie Smith and Omar Vizquel. You could knock the bat out of their hands early in their careers, but by the end of their careers, they were doing more than holding their own as hitters. There's a guy with some pretty good hand-eye coordination, Paul Molitor.
Love to watch him play and play against him. He was fun. He stayed in the middle of the field.
Pulls it into right field. Suzuki's going to run on Ibanez. And the throw is not in time, and moving up to second base is Escobar.
Not a bad throw by Ibanez. He was on the mark. He had to come a long way to get it. Suzuki, good read, nice turn, cut the angle. Twins pressing James Shields.
Infield in on the corners, halfway up the middle, as Sam Fuld takes low for ball 1. Grounded out to second first time up. The Royals will take that right here. Two and 0.
Fuld, a .238 hitter with runners in scoring position this year. Lorenzo Cain in center, Gordon in left have 6 assists with their arms this year apiece, each one of them.
And now 3-0.
Nunez is on deck. He's done the most damage against James. Even though it hasn't been heavy damage, he scored both the runs, single and a walk. Salvy's trying to talk James into get back into the strike zone here.
Fuld's at bat in the 3rd inning was his first against Shields. They played together for 2 years in Tampa Bay. 4-pitch walk, and they're loaded up with 1 out. Shields' second walk.
Nunez, again, has been one of their best hitters with runners in scoring position, too. 476.
And he chipped in tonight with a single and a walk, and he scored both runs. With 1 out, 2 singles and a walk to load him up. Cracked his bat, and Hosmer, no play. It wasn't hit hard enough for a play at the plate, and there was nobody at first base.
Talk about a jam sandwich. He got one, and he got away with it. Ball just plugged. Hosmer didn't have a chance. James Shields forgot to keep going to cover first. He just stopped, thinking Hosmer was going to make the play at the plate, but you can't assume. Got to get to that base, cost him an out. Nunez remains hot. .50-foot plug shot.
So far tonight, James Shields has struck out Joe Mauer twice, both times on fastballs up. And he goes with a breaking ball for strike 1. He has now struck out 64 times this year.
Mauer 1 for 7 this year with him loaded up.
Pickoff play at third, safe. Great timing between Perez and Moustakas, and Escobar by an eyelash got back in time.
Yep, the only way they get him if that throws a little lower.
Two and 1. 26 pitches this inning for Shields. So 1 for 7 this year. 325 for his career, with 3 home runs with the bases loaded. A base hit into left field. It'll score 2. Nunez goes to third as the ball skips away from Moustakas, and Mauer comes up with a double. And Minnesota leads 5-1 in the 4th inning.
Tried to execute on the outer half, and that's right where Mauer lives. Struck him out first 2 times up with heaters in, so he didn't try to challenge him inside. He put it right where he likes it. A majority of Mauer's hits are in left field now.
Mauer is telling Ron Gardenhire that he's all right, but Gardenhire saw him bending at the waist at second base.
Rib cage. Maybe.
Out there with Tony Leo, the assistant trainer.
Yeah, see how he's kind of bending at his waist? That would be a bad injury. Those are tough. he's going to play through it.
Well, you can run with a rib cage. We'll see if he bats when his turn comes up next time.
James.
Yeah, he's still just kind of twisting and turning to his left side.
James is in some more trouble here with Parmalee, their hottest hitter up.
Infield in with runners at second and third and one out. Got the call. 0-1. Parmalee doubled, driving in a run in the first inning. He reached on an error by Alex Gordon in the third, which led to an unearned run. He has an 11-game hitting streak. 0-2.
Good pitch. That's where he should have pitched Mauer. Up in there where he'd been getting him out.
This will be the 30th pitch in this inning and the 80th pitch of the game for Shields. Line foul off the side wall. For most pitchers, 30 pitches in an inning and 80 pitches in fourth, the bullpen is going to be busy.
You're right.
He was tempted. 1 ball, 2 strikes. James Shields, you rarely see the bullpen working this early with him on the mound. Five runs allowed in less than 4 innings. One of those runs unearned. Minnesota scored in 3 of their 4 innings at the plate tonight.
James needs a strikeout, and his strikeouts have been down last several starts. He only had 2 against the Dodgers, 4 against Seattle, 3 against the White Sox.
Out of play.
He likes to come at hitters. That was a pitch there. Parmalee wishes he had back. He's got to keep it down. Infield's in. Hope he hits it at somebody on the ground.
Three and 2. Twins had scored 4 runs in their previous 3 games. And a breakout for them tonight. 5 so far. And they have runners at second and third with 1 out. Shields dives and plays it to first. Hosmer throws back to third, and Nunez gets back in time. So Shields doing everything he can to get an out. 2 down.
Infante most likely would have gotten to it, but you can't tell a guy that when he's on the mound competing, trying to get out of a jam. And Hosmer, what's impressive is that he's flat-footed. He threw a dart across the diamond. His arm is unbelievable.
Maybe Shields with that effort still thinking about that. Would you call it a 50-foot plug?
Plug shot.
Little bloop up the first base line that Nunez reached and got an RBI. Ball 1 to Kendrys Morales. Drove in a run with an infield single last inning. He's also popped out to third.
Made a little mistake on that by not continuing to cover first base. They would have had an out and been out of the inning.
2-0.
Make
37 pitch inning.
Making him work.
At the knees. 2-1. Shields in 2 starts now against Minnesota has pitched 10 and a third innings and allowed 12 runs. There's that great changeup. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Haven't seen a hitter swing at his changeup like that all night.
But Morales is a free swinger. You can get him out up too. Let's make sure it's up.
That was the 40th pitch of the inning.
He had a 44 pitch inning in his start earlier here in Minnesota in April. This early in the game, you'd expect that his offense could come back and help him out like they always have this year, at least in the last month or so. But you got to hold him here. Yeah.
Another changeup. So it was a lot of work. 41 pitches. Shields get to the 4th, but not before Minnesota scores 3 to take a 5-1 lead. Important series, 4 games with the Tigers right before the All-Star break. Been a lot going on each night. Thursday night, all-you-can-eat seats. Friday night, Buck Night and fireworks. Saturday night, Viva Los Royals and the Sal Perez bobblehead. And then Sunday afternoon, Family Fun Day Sunday and Kids Fest.
I love those promos. I mean, those promotions that they do, and all that on top of watching an exciting baseball team.
Well, as we predicted, what looked like a strain to Joe Mauer's left side. That's not going to bother him running the bases, but would he be able to hit again? And Ron Gardenhire makes the change before Mauer even gets a chance to swing the bat. Parmelee goes from left to first, and Willingham is now in left field as Ricky Nolasco pitches with a 4-run lead and will face Escobar, Kane, and Hosmer. Nolasco gave up a run in the 2nd inning on Mike Moustakas' 2-out RBI single. Royals already have 6 hits against him. Well, the Royals just have to do tonight what they've been doing all season for James Shields, and that is support him with big time runs. He is 4th in the league with 6.13 runs of support. And in his last 10 before tonight, the Royals have been scoring over 7 runs a game. And that's just when he's in the game, not the entire game, but just during Shields innings.
Escobar getting some pitches up.
Still 2-2.
Trying to shoot him to right now. An off-speed pitch that hangs over the middle. Escobar, he'll pull it. He's been really good at hitting it where it's pitched lately.
He's fouled out 4 in a row.
And he's wondering to himself right now, man, that ball's right down the middle. How did I not put that in play?
The Royals were 17-10 in June. Alcides Escobar hit .374. Center field and fouled into a slide. He got his glove on it. Escobar's on with a leadoff single.
Tough read. Esky will take it. Little hesitation. Fold wasn't. He was trying to pick up the spin on the ball. So he started out towards left field thinking that ball had more carry on it when really it had some sink to it. Almost made a nice play. Kept it in front of him though. Kept Escobar off second. You want to leave your feet out in the outfield, make sure you keep it in front. He did that.
Escobar started to run and he stopped, and looked like Kane just took a strike thinking that Escobar would run.
Second baseman Escobar, he went over and covered, left that whole right side open. Until he's trying to regroup.
And it's 0-2. He had one of the best games of his career. Kane did on Sunday. 4 hits, 3 doubles. But here in Minnesota, 0 for 7 with 5 strikeouts.
Watch the backswing here. Suzuki's a little bit complaining about that one. Wow. Didn't feel so good.
Just nicked it foul, still 0-2. Remember to vote for the Royals Player of the Month. First game of the month tonight. Rallyhouse.com/Royals, and you'll be entered to win a majestic prize pack from Rally House.
He's going to keep throwing it down there if he keeps swinging at it.
Down on strikes. That is the 6th strikeout for Kane in the series. 1 down in the 5th. It's only the 2nd strikeout for Nolasco, and both against Kane.
He's over aggressive. He wants to hit his way out of it instead of taking your way. He's swinging a lot of pitches off the plate. Doesn't look to me like he's seeing the ball. Pick up that release point. Escobar 20 out of 22 in steals.
Hosmer is single to right and single to center. Velasco has very interesting splits when you break him down home versus road. His overall ERA is 5.74. That's the highest among qualifying pitchers in the American League, but he is a lot better here than he is on the road. And the Royals saw him at his best here at Target Field back in April. Velasco on April 12th went 8 innings and gave up just 1 run to the Royals. Then Velasco and his next start went to Kauffman Stadium and they scored 5 runs against him in 5 2/3 innings. Three-hit game for Hosmer. Escobar will hold at second base. Two on, 1 out.
Good sign for Hosmer. Starting to heat up. Take the singles. Long one will come. Everything's directed up the middle now. That's where the biggest hole in the diamond is. Escobar thought about it. Well, as we'll see, see how long that his stride feet are, man. He's got a wide base, but he's well balanced.
That's his first 3-hit game in about a month and a half. Go back to May the 24th. He had a 4-hit game that night. Down and away to Billy. Ball 1. Billy is singled and flied out to deep right center field.
He's going to throw those sliders on the outer half, hoping Billy will pull it and roll it over. Billy wants to think like most of the time he does, right center. React on the pitch in.
Escobar saw that coming. He's back in plenty of time.
Billy's average with runners in scoring position is coming up. It's 292. So he's good at hitting the lanes. He's likes to go to right field. He needs to think that way here.
2-0. Two and 1. Royals know already that Detroit has won tonight. They shut out Oakland. Rick Porcello is 11-4. JD Martinez hit another home run. That's been a great move for the Tigers.
Oh, they found a bat with some power. Got a place to play him. Where are they playing him? Torrey Hunter's back now, so.
Left field.
There you go.
Crack bat. Out at second. And not in time. So Escobar is at third with 2 down. Hosmer cut down at second base.
Jam shot. Gave Billy time to get down that line. Like how Hosmer went after second baseman Escobar. Tried to get a piece of him.
Twice tonight, Alex has gotten a pretty good pitch to hit. just a little late on it, and both times flied out to left field. Slow curve is outside, ball 1. Give James Shields a little extra time in the Royals dugout. He needed 41 pitches to get through the 4th. Back with a curve, and it's 1-1. Nolasco has really mixed his pitches tonight. There really is no pattern. He has had trouble this year with his fastball location. That's over the inside, and the count is 1-2. He has been very tentative with his fastball tonight. And you can understand why, because if you look at the opponent's averages for Nolasco pitch by pitch, his fastball has been his worst pitch. Two and 2, 25 pitch inning. Throwing his fastball less than half the time, and look at what the league does with his fastball. 343.
Right. He doesn't have any velocity to get it by anybody. That's why Rick Anderson and him been out there in that bullpen trying to hit spots with his fastball, trying to get a little extra movement, maybe two seam it. But his off-speed pitch is what he's throwing now.
And he got Alex to chase one up and away. So he went with the fastball. He didn't throw a strike, but he got Alex to chase. The Royals strand 2 to the bottom of the 5th. Minnesota leads 5-1. Royals baseball brought to you by Thoroughbred Ford. The selection is bigger and the prices are lower at Thoroughbred Ford. By 5 Hour Energy. And by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day. The original logo of the Minnesota Twins. Named after the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. And the two cartoon characters, Minnie and Paulie, shaking hands over the Mississippi River. One and one on Trevor Plouffe. I'll take you way back to when the Twins were playing at old Metropolitan Stadium, now the site of the Mall of America. before moving inside the Metrodome and then to this beautiful ballpark in downtown Minneapolis.
It's a beauty. James hoping for a quick inning.
Nice crowd, not a huge crowd. Not as big as last night. Just under 30,000 for game one of this series last night. Escobar to the middle. And Plouffe is 0 for 3. So one down. Arcia coming up, and we take a look at our Sprint Framley question of the night. Who holds the Royals record for most home runs by a catcher prior to the All-Star break? The fans went with HUD.
Mistake.
John Buck had 15 back in 2007. I had no idea.
It's two of us.
Shields could really use a quick inning. He is just a few pitches away from 100 tonight. He needed 41 to get through Minnesota's 3-run fourth inning. An inning that started with an out. Arcia grounded out to first, but then Suzuki singled, Escobar singled, Fold walked, and then that goofy play where Nunez with a shattered bat hit a little bloop near the first base line and reached with an RBI single, and then Mauer hit the 2-run double. And by the way, we just found out that Mauer left with a strained left oblique. Arcia is on with one out, and that is base hit number 8 for the Twins tonight.
Strained oblique, those sometimes linger, especially for a hitter. He was obviously in discomfort, but he didn't want to come off the field. Like you said, you can run with those, but when it comes to swinging a bat, whole different ball game.
So now it's Suzuki, and he got that inning started in the 4th. Had a long plate appearance, 4 foul balls, and then single to center, and that was the beginning of a 3-run inning.
You were talking about him getting that foul tip off his forearm in last night's game. I remember him getting out of the way of this pitch here by Ventura, and I asked him yesterday about that. He said, you know, he got up right there, one good stare. He wasn't happy. Any hitter would be the same way, but the way Salvi's saying he wasn't trying to do that. But Suzuki said that he saw his life flash before his eyes on that pitch. He said he turned his head, but the ball was already by him. That'll tell you how dangerous a high velocity pitch like that, how dangerous it is for a hitter to get out of the way. And if it catches him, you know, he said that woke him up, scared him.
He's from Hawaii, so you could have a worse life flashing before your eyes. If you probably saw a beach and some waterfalls and puka shells. Right center field. Kane will play it on a bounce. Arcia going first to third and just beats the throw. Kane made a good one-hop throw to Moustakas. So Arcia singled on a 1-2 pitch. Suzuki singles on an 0-2 pitch, and runners at first and third with one out.
Well, obviously James is finding too much of the plate, and Ned still hasn't gotten a bullpen guy up yet. It's right over the middle.
Escobar singled and scored in that 3-run fourth inning. He's 1 for 2. Over the outside for strike 1. Shields has had 103 pitches.
Figures he can maybe induce this double play ball here coming up.
0-2. Three long innings, a 20-pitch first, a 24-pitch third, and then that 41-pitch fourth. He used up a lot of ammunition in that one inning. One and two. And again, the last two hitters were down in the count. Arcia 1-2, Suzuki 0-2, and they both singled. And now Shields is ahead of Escobar 1-2. Two balls, two strikes.
Just talked about it earlier. Dave Island said before the game, when James opens up, he's opening up and is leaving his arm out there, and it's leaving the pitches flat, up, hittable.
Now, when you're talking about a hitter, Hud, usually when they open up, it's trying to be too quick, maybe trying to swing too hard. Is it the same with pitching? Is that a result of so-called trying to do too much?
Absolutely. The two are very similar. Same thing with a hitter. He pulls his shoulder off. He doesn't get anything on the ball. He misses it. It's all about who can get who off balance.
.108 pitches. The count has gone from 0-2 to 3-2. One out, and still nobody warming up in the bullpen. Strikes him out, so Escobar made it interesting filling out the count after being down, but Shields puts him away for his fifth strikeout. Shields' season high for pitches is 118, but that was a 7-inning start at San Diego. Strike on the outside to Fold. He walked and scored in the 3-run fourth inning, and he is grounded out to second base. And 2.
Just slider work.
Shields is different from most pitchers today with his ability to pitch deep, but it is still odd to see a pitcher at 111 pitches and nobody warming up in the bullpen. I don't care if it's the 5th inning, the 7th inning, or the 8th inning.
Well, it just goes to show Ned's got a lot of confidence in him. Obviously.
Right to Hosmer. So Ned didn't need the bullpen as Shields pitches a scoreless 5th inning. He works around a couple of hits, and at the end of 5, it's still 5-1 Minnesota. 6th inning. Can you beat the best? Join millions of players now on the only official Home Run Derby mobile game from the MLB.com Square Off. Square off against your friends from around the world live in multiplayer derby mode and climb to the top of the leaderboards. Download today for free on the Apple App Store and Google Play. Sal is 0 for 2, followed by Raul Ibanez and Omar Infante. Left center field, Willingham and Fold are there. Sam Fold makes the play. Sal is 0 for 3. Velasco's given up 8 hits in 5 1/3 innings, but only 1 run, and all 8 hits have been singles. As Raul Ibanez comes up, Ray Ross is our Sonic Slam contestant. Ray is from Sedalia. If the Royals hit a home run in this inning, that's worth $100. The Royals had a Sonic Slam last night on Salvador Perez's home run in the 6th inning. That was worth $1,300. If the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Ray wins $25 grand from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals. When Raul singled in the 2nd inning, he became the 2nd oldest Royal ever to get a hit at 42 years old. Only Bob Boone, who would go on to manage the Royals, was older than Raul Ibanez. One and 2.
Missed him one there. 90 down the middle, inner half.
Suzuki near his own dugout. Ooh. Wow, he hit that railing hard.
Ooh, man. Oh man, sometimes those railings creep up on you. He knew where he was. He's reaching for the rail, but his gut caught it first. That knocked the wind out of him. Great attempt. Look at him.
Let's go.
He's a gamer.
You could feel the press box shake when he hit that railing.
Saying we got a ball game to win.
What comes first? You got to be tough to be a catcher, or being a catcher will make you tough?
I think a little of both. But Suzuki, he was an outstanding young player. Cal State Fullerton. Oakland took him. He did a nice job. He was the catcher for Mulder, Hudson, Zito back in the day. Imagine getting to catch those 3 guys in Oakland.
And back in that day, one of the Oakland coaches who really helped Kurt Suzuki early in his career was Don Wakamatsu. Nunez wants it in shallow center field, and he's got it. There are 2 down. A couple of guys with Royals connections. There's Don Wakamatsu. Really helped Kurt Suzuki. Wakamatsu is a catcher. Jason Kendall as a teammate. Kendall helped him out with learning how to call a game. Wakamatsu really helped him with some of the mechanics of catching. I remember Suzuki, if you've seen the movie Karate Kid, and Mr. Miyagi is the karate guru, and the character doesn't understand the training techniques until the end, and And it all comes together. And Kurt Suzuki used to refer to Don Wakamatsu as his Mr. Miyagi. Is out. Michael Marriott is in. Academy Sports and Outdoors gives us a starters comparison. How much comparison tonight? Nolasco has gone 6. Shields went 5. Shields gives up 5 runs. 1 run was unearned. And now in his last 9 starts, his opponent's batting average is .323.
Not James-like.
Michael Marriott, a Chevy call to the bullpen. He closed out the game last night in a non-save situation. Allowed a single and a walk in the 9th inning, but also struck out 2, including Joe Mauer, to end the game.
His job, hold him down. Hopefully that Royals offense will come around.
Top of the order, Nunez, followed by Willingham and Parmelee. It's over for a strike. Nunez has been on 3 times. And he's been a part of 3 of the 5 runs, scoring twice and driving in 1. 1 ball, 1 strike.
4-pitch pitcher is Marriott. Sliders is his out pitch.
Oh, to left field. How did he get around on that pitch? But I don't even know if you can call that a bad pitch. That was just impressive hitting.
He's on a mission. Nunez. He wants that everyday job. That's how you get it, by swinging the bat. That ball was way in off the plate. Wow. Yeah, way in. He's able to. It's all about the bottom hand. Pull that bottom hand in, and you can barrel it. His bottom hand coming in, keeping that elbow tight to his left rib cage.
You're right. I mean, for most guys, maybe they can hit a pitch like that, but they're going to pull it way foul on the third base side.
It's all about the bottom hand. You want to keep that ball fair. Great job on his part. He's hot. He wants that everyday job. You can tell by the way he plays. He was with the Yankees, you know, and he knew Jeter was going to be coming back and all that, you know, so he was just kind of filling a void there. He knew he had no chance there, but now with Minnesota, there's a vacancy at shortstop. He wants it.
Yeah, New York, for a couple of years when Jeter's skills were diminishing defensively, there was a cry in New York for Nunez to be the shortstop. Like he was going to be the heir apparent. And that ball's hit hard to left field. A lot of overspin, and that allows Alex to make the play. That was Willingham's first at bat. And that's out number 1 in the 6th inning.
Good thing he stayed on top of that one. He gets under it. It's out.
Jared Burton warms up in the Minnesota bullpen as Nolasco is right at 100 pitches. That's into the crowd. 0-1 on Parmelee. Parmelee extended his hitting streak to 11 games with an RBI double in the first inning. It was just his second RBI during his 11-game streak. He has also reached on an error and grounded back to the mound.
Just a second home run that Marriott's given up, and both of them have come against right-handed batters. Lefties are hitting .296 off of Marriott.
One and two. Just missed. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Full count. Morales will be next. Crack bat, shallow left, base hit.
He's going good. You get those.
Runner at first with 1 out. And as promised earlier in the game, we have the AT&T fan photo of the game from Kathy. Is that a 2-2?
Looks like it. Nice shot.
Good for her.
There's a bat shattered. Bat died a hero.
Ball 1 on Morales. 1 for 3 with an infield single. That single drove in a run. Two and 0. It is 6-1 Minnesota. That was the final score last night. The Royals won that game. But in the other 4 games, including tonight, Minnesota has outscored the Royals here 27-6. Royals were 15-4 against Minnesota last year. 3-1. Fair ball. It hits the sidewall. That helps out Ibanez. He doesn't have to run all the way into the corner. And because of that, that is a long single for Morales. First and third with one out.
He was looking for something up. Anything up and in. He's going to pull that. Hosmer had no chance. Ball was by him.
Trevor Plouffe is 0 for 3. 2 ground balls to short, and he is struck out. 1 for 7 since coming back from the DL before last night's game. Told you that Joe Mauer left the game an inning ago because of a strained left oblique. That's what put Trevor Plouffe on the disabled list. Off the end of the bat, a lot of side spin, and that's a tough play to make barehanded. Plouffe reaches, Parmalee scores. It's now 7-1.
And he knew that. Anytime a hitter cues the ball like that, you get, even with your glove, sometimes when you use it, it'll spin out of that. Look at that. Look at the English thing. Now he's going to try to barehand it. There's no way. He had a chance to go down with both hands, pick that up, and throw him out. We've seen him use the bare hand quite often, but that was way too much spin on the baseball.
Very interesting in that could have easily been scored a hit because of the degree of difficulty trying to grab it with the bare hand. But I think the scorer was thinking the way you were thinking, and that bare hand play wasn't necessary.
Yeah, it wasn't. Look at the ball. Look at the baseball. Even slowed down, it's spinning really hard, and there's no way. It would have been miraculous had he even caught it with his bare hand. I mean, I agree with the official score.
Great look from Phantom Cam there, and that thing was in and out of his hand so quickly he wasn't even able to pull his fingers together, and that ball was already a foot away from his hand.
When a ball hit like that, you have to center that in your glove even to catch it. The minute it hits anything, it takes off.
Arcia kisses his bat for good luck. Who was the hitter who used to sleep with his bats?
There's been several, maybe just a few who have admitted it.
Two and one.
Donnie Mattingly used to. I don't think he told that to the media. That was clubhouse inside there.
Well, you want to make sure your bat gets a good night's rest.
That's right.
Right? 2 balls, 2 strikes. Oswaldo Arcia. Twins signed him as a 16-year-old 7 years ago out of Venezuela. 2 years ago, he was their minor league player of the year, and then last year hit 14 home runs at the big league level. Ooh.
Looked like he might have got that off the knee. Whenever a hitter reacts like that. Ooh, man. Yeah, that's just below it. Ouch. See where the ball bounced. Right back to the mound. And hit it squarely.
Trying to see if Arcia can put any weight on that right leg. Yeah, I've got a little bit of that shin guard. Ron Gardenhire's already had to pull out Joe Mauer with a strained left oblique. And Arcia says he's all right. We'll see. It seems cruel, but the right thing to do right here is to pitch him down and in again, right?
That's what they do.
Maybe his bat rejected the kiss.
Yeah. Full count. Arcia has already been on the disabled list down in early April, right before the Royals got here for that first series between the two teams. He had a left wrist injury. Batting with Morales at second base and Plouffe at first. And he will walk. Twins walk quite a bit. They have the second most walks in the American League. That is only 3 walks allowed tonight by the Royals, but the first 2 scored. Nunez walked and scored in the third. Fold walked and scored in the fourth.
Barry, I'd love to get Suzuki to hit one on the ground somewhere. Get out of this inning. Suzuki's grounded into 4 double plays this year.
Slider for strike 1. And now Francisco Bueno. One and one. Suzuki's chipped in with a couple of hits tonight and a run scored. He gets a badge for courage for a second straight night. Last night it was a foul tip off of his left forearm. Tonight it was running into the railing in front of the Twins dugout. Two and two. Twins have had 17 base runners in 5 1/3 innings. Full count. 12 hits, 3 walks, 2 errors. Another walk, this one with the bases loaded, back-to-back walks, and Minnesota leads 8-1. Ed Yost is out, so Marriott faces 7. He only gets 1 out. And Francisco Bueno will be a Chevy call to the bullpen. He inherits the bases loaded, 1 down, and the Royals are down by 7. Francisco Bueno. He inherits 3 runners, all gifts from the Royals, and pitches to Escobar, who goes to right field. Ibanez shallow, slides to make the play. Plouffe was not tagging.
Nice play by Ibanez. He was in shallow, but he had to make a good read on that sinking liner to him. Showing some agility out there in right field. Gets up quickly and hits the cutoff man. That's what you want to do. If you're an outfielder and you make a play like this, you don't hold the ball, you get it in. A sense of urgency there. Nice play. So many times in Little League, you go out and watch these young players play ball, and the outfielders get it, and you hear the coaches yelling, get it in, throw it. Don't hold it, especially with runners on. Get it to the cutoff man as quickly as you can, just like Ibanez did.
9th man to bat in the inning, Sam Fuld. Bueno drops down sidearm. Seems like he has done that a lot more this year compared to last year, and I asked him tonight if that was the case, and he said yes. It was something he did quite a bit in Cuba, but he began to feel some pain in his left shoulder when he first came to the United States. So for a while he stopped doing it. The shoulder healed, and he began dropping down from that angle when he was rehabbing after being placed on the disabled list this year, and really uses it quite a bit against left-hand batters.
He's expecting Fuld to swing on that, and it's a tough angle for a lefty. 222 average against lefties Bueno has. Righties 364. They're 4 for 11 off it.
And a base hitting to right center field. That gets 2 more home. Plouffe and Arcia. That's Minnesota's biggest inning of the night. A 5-run 6th to lead 10-1.
Now Ned, he might be thinking about giving Salvia a rest, maybe giving some of these guys a break with a day game tomorrow. And that's probably what he's doing now. That's what manager's thinking about when the score gets out of hand. Salvi, maybe it's a good time for Christian Colon to make his debut. Get some of the guys that haven't played a chance here. Now, they can still come back in this game, but for the day game tomorrow, Ned's looking for opportunities to rest Salvi at least. Got to be thinking about that now.
So there you go. Colon grabs his bat and some gloves and might go down into the cage and take some swings. Eduardo Nunez, 2 singles, a walk, and a home run. And he was going for another home run. 0-2. He homered in this inning. He started all this somehow getting a pitch way inside. He kept his hands inside the ball and homered to left, his 3rd of the year. That ball ricocheted off Sal and went up the line, and the runners move up. Suzuki to 3rd. Fuld to 2nd on a wild pitch.
Yep. So all you can do is just try to square it up and hit off his shoulder. Get the runners over. There's 2 outs.
And Nunez strikes out. 10 come to the plate. And for just the 8th time this season, Minnesota has an inning with 5 or more runs. Tonight, that inning gives them a 9-run lead.
Selection of seats at Kauffman Stadium, including premium seats. Do you have a corporate outing coming up or clients coming into town? Ticketsforless.com can get your group within the first 10 rows behind the dugout or even all together in the front row of the crown seats. Check out Ticketsforless.com for all your Royals tickets. And Mike Moustakas will lead off the inning, and while the batting average, guys, still doesn't look great, it's at 187. When he came back up from the minors, it was at 152, and Dale Swaim said his attitude has been tremendous since he has come back and feels like Moose is really close, like they're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I asked him about those 2 opposite field hits last night, and he said, yeah, that's a good sign, but he's got to stick to who he is and stick to his strengths. We hear all the time about guys trying to beat the shift. And remember Bo Porter saying earlier in the year, the Astros manager, we want guys to try to beat the shift. It gets them out of their game and maybe takes away some of those power numbers. But he said, as far as Moose goes, Dale Swaim, just keep rolling with the process here, not let the pitcher dictate the at-bats. Don't be up there guessing. It's a process. It takes time. He feels like he's on his way.
Thank you, Joel. A strike from Jared Burton. He has 3 hits in the first 2 games. Scored twice last night. He has driven in the Royals' only run tonight.
Well, Ned sure hopes he can get a little more consistent.
Jared Burton pitched last night, gave up 2 unearned runs in the 8th inning after an error by Brian Dozier. Parmalee gets a nice hop over to Burton, 1 down. And that allows us to tell you that Christian Colon, as the rain begins to fall, will be making his big league debut. Royals' first-round pick back in 2010, the 4th overall pick out of Cal State Fullerton, called up yesterday. And we'll never forget July 1st, 2014, Target Field, and Jared Burton.
And just as he got in the box, the rain started coming.
And why not swing at the first pitch? Arcia makes a play in right field with the rain blowing in his face. Colon last year was Omaha's Player of the Year and was hitting .296 in 74 games when he was called up.
Burton 88 to 92 mile-an-hour fastball, hard slider, and a changeup.
1-1 on Kane. Lorenzo Cain hits it up into the rain. Long run for Fuld. And that's a graveyard for fly balls and line drives at Target Field. And Fuld makes the play. Burton has a quick top of the 7th inning. It's stretch time in Minneapolis. Minnesota leads 10-1.
By the Twins. Panera takes us around the league, and Rick Porcello back-to-back shutouts. How about that? LA doubles up the White Sox behind Mike Trout, and in the second of that doubleheader, they're leading 6-5. Mazda game break takes us to Detroit. JD Martinez again doing it with the home run. 3-0 is the final. Couple of notes, guys, for you from around the league. Porcello back-to-back shutouts. The first Tiger to do that in consecutive games since Jack Morris had 3 straight in 1986, and he did it with no strikeouts and no walks. And David Price's streak of 5 straight double-digit strikeout games comes to an end. He had 9.
Porcello, he was on the edge of not making the Tigers rotation.
And those back-to-back shutouts were against Texas and Oakland. And while Texas has struggled this year, we still know how hard it is to put up a 0 at Texas, and Oakland's been the best team in the American League. And I was looking as far as strange lines. How often do you see a pitcher go 9 innings, no runs, no strikeouts, and no walks? He's the first pitcher to do that since Jeff Ballard in 1989.
Ballard was with the Orioles. How about that? Crazy numbers this game.
3-2 on Josh Willingham as it continues to rain, and now raining harder. Just 61 degrees. 61 degrees on July 1st. Kane, who just moved over to right field. He'll get Willingham. Willingham is 0 for 2. So with that win, Detroit at the moment has a 4-game lead over the Royals. And barring a miraculous comeback, Royals should be down by 4.5 when they take the field here tomorrow afternoon. changes, and we just showed them to you. Ibanez is now in left. Dyson's in center. Cain's in right. Valencia's at second base. Colon, who just had his first major league at bat, is at short, and Brett Hayes is behind the plate. One and one on Parmelee.
Salvador Perez talking it over with Vargas.
Ibanez makes a play, 2 down.
It's only proper that the guys that come out of the game stay in the dugout and root on the guys that sit and root on them while they're out there. That's good to see. Now, most of the time, this time of year, it's okay if you go in, get an early shower or whatever you do, ice down. But it's good to see Salvi and Gordon out there just, backing the guys that get a chance to play.
A couple of former teammates here back in Cuba, Francisco Bueno and Kendrys Morales. The rain has just about stopped, and looking at the radar, really nothing showed up. So that was just a very small isolated shower. Morales is on with his 3rd hit tonight, and he's at first with 2 down. 14 hits for the Minnesota Twins. Trevor Plouffe reached on an error charged to Infante last inning. Of the 5 runs Minnesota scored in the 6th inning, 3 were unearned. Four total unearned runs. One and one. Just as those kids right behind home plate got a hold of those plastic ponchos that they hand out here at the ballpark, all ready to go, ready to stay dry, it stops raining. That's base hit number 15 for the Twins, and that's all the way to the wall. Morales is a slow runner, so he'll just go to third on the double by Plouffe. Got anything you want to add to that?
Not really, but I'm just thinking about a position player that could come and pitch for Ned. Valencia, I think, is the only one left out on the bench.
Oh, he's at second base.
Oh, my bad.
$15 hits for the Twins and at least 1 hit for the starting 9. Royals last night held Minnesota to 1 run, 9 hits. Hayes and Bueno will have a little chat before pitching to Arcia. Tomorrow, Vargas and Correa. It's an early one tomorrow. It is a 12:10 first pitch Central Time, and Ivy Royals Live with Joel begins at 11:30. When the Royals head to Cleveland, they have an off day on Thursday. We'll play a weekend series there, and then go to Tampa Bay.
Salvi and Vargas are already talking about tomorrow.
Arcia walked and scored last inning after he had a foul ball right off of his right shin. Dropping down sidearm, and it's 1-1. One and two. Minnesota had lost 6 of 7 going into tonight, which is 4 runs scored in their last 3 games. And some of the complaints about the Minnesota offense would remind you of what you would hear about the Royals when they've had down periods on offense, where it's not just a few hitters struggling, but all 9 hitters struggling. Still 1 and 2. You say hitting can be contagious. It's an old baseball line. A couple hitters get hot, everyone seems to get hot. Well, the reverse is also true. In a bad way, sometimes hitting can be contagious. A few guys start pressing, the big guys aren't coming through, the other guys are trying to pick up the slack, getting the big hits, and next thing you know, nobody's coming through.
I would have never expected this today, especially against Nolasco. All the hits he's given up this year, hadn't gone 6 innings since early June. That's baseball.
Well, as bad as his overall numbers look, Ricky Nolasco in 2 starts here against the Royals has given up 2 runs in 14 innings. But his ERA is almost 8 on the road. Still 2 and 2. Minnesota scoring 10 or more runs for the 4th time this year. So just to add to the point, go a stretch of games where nobody's hitting, and tonight literally everyone was hitting. 15 hits and at least 1 hit from the starting 9. Twins got 5 against Shields in 5 innings. 1 of those runs was unearned. They got 5 against Marriott in 1 inning. 3 of those runs were unearned. Right center field, long run Dyson, but he catches up and makes a play. The Twins strand 2. We head to the 8th inning. 10-1 Minnesota.
light. Eric Hosmer, one of the bright spots in tonight's game for the Royals. Got him a 3-hit game. The last time he had a 3-hit game or better was May 24th when he had 4 hits. A good sign for the first baseman. See if he can make it 4.
He had that bad luck game on Sunday. Brian Dunsing, the former Cornhusker, will pitch the 8th inning. But Hosmer, in that final game of the Royals-Angels series, was 0 for 5, but he flied out to deep left. He lined to second. He lined to short. And before the game yesterday, jokingly, I had asked him who he was going to line out to tonight. And without hesitation, he said, hopefully to some guy sitting in section 414.
Nice.
Now, there is no section 414 here, but the point is, to some guy in the outfield seats a long way from home plate.
Dunsing, 89 to 93 on his fastball. He cuts it, slow curve, good change. To righties.
One and two. Nolasco went 6 and gave up 1 run. Burton had a 1-2-3 7th inning. Dunsing will get Hosmer, Butler, and Valencia. The changes were not straight up when Ned Yost put Valencia and Dyson and Hayes in the game. Three and two. Let me take that back. According to the official lineup, it'll be Dyson hitting in the cleanup spot. I would imagine that will be the first time and maybe the last time in his major league career that he'll be hitting cleanup.
I would have guessed that's right.
Although, while maybe he's never hit cleanup, well, I bet he has actually. How many times has he pinch run for Billy Butler? So maybe the first time hitting cleanup where he didn't first enter the game as a pinch runner. Those are the things you come up with in the 8th inning of a 10-1 game.
You're doing well.
And a 4-hit game for Hosmer. 3 of those hits are into center field, so back to using the middle of the field, a single to right, and now 3 straight singles to center.
It's a nice night. Finding those holes up the middle. Long ball soon coming. Stay tuned tomorrow.
Ball 1 to Billy. He's 1 for 3 with a 3rd inning single.
I mentioned Hosmer had a 4-hit game May 24th. So now he's got one to go with it. The other one. 2 4-hit games.
Plouffe dives out at second. Double play, 2 down. So here he is, the little Bambino, Gerard Dyson. Dave Holtzman, our associate producer, telling us that this is his 6th plate appearance as a number 4 hitter. But I contend the first time he has batted 4th without first entering the game as a pinch runner.
Well, there's only one thing to do. You show Ned you can go big fly. Get your ball out over the middle, nice level swing.
0-2. He has 8 runs scored as a number 4 hitter. So there you go.
Productive.
One and 2. Dyson on the last homestand homered, his 4th major league home run. His first was against Minnesota off of Kevin Slowey. Great catch. Young lady with her Twins home jersey on, bare hand catch. Purse around her shoulder. Usher comes over to make sure she's okay, and she says, "Are you kidding me?" She wanted a high five from the usher.
He's just doing his
heck of a
job.
play.
Yeah, it was a great catch. Usher doing his job.
Three and 2. And he takes a walk. So he got a chance to score his 9th run as a number 4 hitter.
That's right, not giving any at bats away. I like it.
It's the first walk given up by a Twins pitcher tonight. You know, looking at the Minnesota team pitching numbers, very odd that you have a team that is so far down in team ERA, and they have given up the fewest home runs and they have allowed the fewest walks. Usually when a team is at or near the bottom in team ERA, they're giving up all kinds of walks and home runs. So what that means is they just give up a lot of hits.
That's right.
Not a lot of home runs, but a lot of hits. And they are last in the league in strikeouts. Danny Valencia got a mixed reaction when he was announced. Former Minnesota Twin, came up through their minor league system.
He says, "Give me a fastball over the middle."
And he lines it into left center. Dyson's going to score another run, Hud, as a number 4 hitter.
Stay hot.
It is now 10-2.
He got the 2-0 cookie he was looking for.
And now Raul Ibanez. And Suzuki's a little concerned. Raul is 1 for 3 tonight with a second inning single.
He's the catcher going out to make a trip. He runs up and back.
One and one. One and two on Ibanez.
Just missed that double. Looks like Deduno is going to get the last inning.
Struck him out. Royals get a run. Gerard Dyson is now 50th all-time in Royals history for runs scored by a number 4 hitter, passing Dave Henderson. Broadcast is presented by authority of the Kansas City Royals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation. Ryan Lefevre, Rex Hudler, Joe Goldberg at Target Field in Minneapolis. With producer Joe Lavero, director Steve Kurtenbach, associate producers Al Broughton, Sam Abramson, Dave Holtzman, and the producer of Royals Live is Brian Shapiro. Two and one to Kurt Suzuki. He's had a full night, 2 hits, a walk with the bases loaded for his 33rd RBI, and he has scored a run. This is Bueno's 3rd inning, his 2nd full inning. 3 and 1. "15 hits for Minnesota tonight, and at least 1 hit for each of the starting 9. Full count.
I'm not going to see any hitters giving away their at-bats, I can tell you that.
Fifth walk allowed by a Royals pitcher tonight, and Bueno's first. And now Eduardo Escobar. 1 for 4 with a run scored. Oh, and 1. Minnesota scored in the first inning. The Royals tied it right away in the second. But then the Twins got 1 in the third, 3 in the fourth, 5 in the sixth. And the Royals just got a run in the top of the eighth. Raul Ibanez is out in left field. 1 out. Suzuki is back to first base.
Most pitches Bueno's had in an inning is 20. So he's almost ready to double that.
In an outing?
In an outing.
Ball 1 to Sam Fuld. Fuld had a 2-out 2-run single to cap that 5-run sixth, and he walked and scored back in the fourth. Two and 0. Three and 0.
Christian Colon, he's still waiting to make a play. His first play as a big leaguer. Usually that ball will find you.
Three and 1. Every spring training, with the excitement of a new year, people who aren't able to come out to surprise, they want to know, how does the team look? Who are some of the players that are playing well? Who's been a surprise player? And under the category of a surprise player, somebody who really stood out, at least for me, was Christian Colon. Had some very professional at-bats. Got some hits, drove in some runs. When the situation called for a bunt or hitting a ground ball to the right side, he came through. Very good on defense at 3 different positions. He's at shortstop, his natural position now, but he played a lot of second base and some third. And Valencia, he'll take the sure out. He'll get Fuld, and Suzuki moves up to second base.
Hopefully Colon will take this role and this opportunity and go with it. Just be steady. Just make the plays.
That was the secret Cal State Fullerton handshake.
That's right. These two guys are homies.
And now Eduardo Nunez. 2 singles, a walk, and a home run. 3 runs scored, 2 RBIs. It's interesting talking to Colon about his comfort level at the different positions before tonight's game. He's a natural shortstop. Then the feeling was that when he got to the big leagues, he would be a second baseman. But he's also played quite a bit of third, and he said, "I like third base," which seemed to surprise him because it's such a different position as far as reaction time goes. But he said there are a lot of things that can go wrong when you're playing shortstop and second base. You know, you got your footwork, you got your timing, especially as a shortstop. If you bobble the ball, that's really the one position on the infield. If you bobble, chances are the play is over. He says, I like third because while it's a quick reaction position, really all you have to do is worry about catching the ball.
And if you bobble there, you got time to pick it up and throw him out. And you know, being a natural shortstop, that's the hardest position. So the other ones might seem to be a little easier. That's a good spot for him.
Mike Moustakas was a high school shortstop when the Royals drafted him. He also pointed out that what really helped his development in the minor leagues, playing different positions, is that the Royals would play him for a couple of weeks at shortstop, then a couple of weeks at second base, then a couple of weeks at third base. It wasn't just a different position every day. They really gave him time to get comfortable during each stretch at the different positions.
Yeah, that's smart.
Ibanez makes the play. Minnesota scoreless in the 8th. Last 3 outs for the Royals. It's a 10-2 game. The 9th inning, and of course coming up after the game, it's Boulevard Royals Live. Joel will be down on the field. We'll hear from Royals manager Ned Yost. Highlights, analysis of the game, and a look ahead to tomorrow, which should be the deciding game of the series. Jason Vargas against Kevin Correa, as the Royals will get another shot at a pitcher with an ERA over 5. Early one tomorrow. Hy-Vee Royals Live begins at 11:30, and the first pitch is at 12:10. Samuel Deduno, a 4.99 ERA this year, a 2.89 ERA in his career against the Royals.
Yeah, he seems like he's always pitched good against Kansas City. Took him out of the rotation, put him in the pen. Sinking fastball, he cuts it. 2 and 4 seamer. Curve and a change.
Brett Hayes bats for the first time. He took over behind the plate in the 7th inning. 2-0. Slider got the inside. Deduno not only pitches well against the Royals, he got his first major league win against the Royals. That was at Kauffman Stadium a little less than 2 years ago, July 22nd. Two and two. And when he has pitched well against KC, the hitters were saying that everything moves, for better or for worse. When the ball comes out of Samuel Deduno's hand, nothing is straight. That ball moved, a slider down and away, and Hayes strikes out, 1 down. Sometimes the ball moves to his benefit, sometimes it does not. Mike Moustakas 1 for 3. He drove in the Royals run back in the 2nd inning that tied the game at 1. And Minnesota went on to score 9 runs. And the Royals got their 2nd run in the 8th inning. How's this for Wild, a young pitcher just trying to find some control? In 2006, so we're talking a long time ago, 8 years, Samuel Deduno in A-ball walked 92. Remember, that's a 5-month season. 92 walks. He had 34 wild pitches.
He moved him right out of the zone, didn't he?
That's where a scout really has to have some imagination. You take a guy who has a good arm, raw talent, and just bank on the fact that he will refine some of that. Right field, hit hard, and it's going to be caught. That ball looked like it got into the lights. Arcia still made the play. Moustakas is 1 for 4.
Yep, sometimes you just got to put your glove where you think it's going to be. And he didn't miss, unfortunately for Moose.
Christian Colon, he didn't waste any time when he flied to right in his first major league at bat in the 7th inning. He swung at the first pitch. And he takes a strike, 0-1. Out to Plouffe. Running hard up the line, but Colon is out, and Minnesota evens the series with a 10-2 victory. A lot of big nights on offense. Nunez had the biggest. 3 runs scored, 2 RBIs, a home run. Minnesota Twins with a 15-hit, 10-2 victory. We'll be right back.